Oh, hi, Mike. Good morning, everybody. It's Coffee and Politics online with Sydney Walker. We're having a roundtable discussion today. Two of our guests aren't here. Yes, we are waiting on them, but I have Stephanie Drenka here. You may have been seeing her around town with her camera speaking out about City Hall, giving amazing history lessons. Thank you for that, because we seem to be lost on history in this town. So good morning, and thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching all my history
Your
lectures.
Content, yes. Growing up, of course, as a kid, you're just like, oh, why do I have to learn this? And then you become an adult, and you're like, oh my gosh, give me more of this. And so kind of tell us, how did you get so involved, especially being so young, with wanting to dig into, where Dallas started?
Well, I was like you when I was growing up in history class. My history teacher would threaten to spray me with a water bottle if I fell asleep in history class. But I grew up, I was born in Korea, but I was adopted at 3 months by a white family. And I grew up in predominantly white suburbs, Marietta, Georgia, and most of my time was in South Lake, Texas.
Okay.
So I grew up without any access to Asian American history, and then specifically no history about my own origin story. So when I went to college, I was very intentional about choosing a university that was known for being diverse.
Okay.
And I went to DePaul University in Chicago, which at the time I was there was piloting an Asian American Studies minor. So I started taking an Asian American Studies 101 intro class and just became engrossed and fascinated by all these stories about my community that I never had access to growing up in Texas.
Wow.
And feeling, like I belonged to something and really important movements. And most specifically, what I took from those lessons was our history of solidarity with other marginalized communities. So one of the stories that really resonated with me was really where the origination of the term Asian American came from, which was during the Third World Liberation Front strikes. A group of grad students at UC Berkeley in 1968 coined the Asian American Political Alliance, and it was their way to unify really disparate, siloed Asian groups under one umbrella to gain more political power,
right,
to advocate for social change. And after college, I went kind of the more traditional corporate. I worked in marketing communications route. After the Trump's first election in 2016, I was working for an influencer marketing company.
Okay.
And I got so frustrated with seeing these influencers and bloggers with huge platforms staying silent about things that really mattered. And I left that job and went into nonprofit, working with an organization called Big Thought. And really understanding more about just the racial disparities in Dallas and how it impacted young people specifically, and wanting to help as many people as I could, decided to go off and become a consultant. And Dallas Truth Racial Healing and Transformation was a new organization at the time. They were my first client. I eventually joined full-time as a communications director.
Okay.
Very long-winded story, but Dallas TRHT, one of our main focuses was narrative change and telling the history of race and racism in Dallas. And that's where, under the leadership of Gary Hawkins, whose posters are out there.
So make sure you come to Mocha and see the art display here that she's referring to.
We dug up a lot of forgotten stories. As Dr. Michael Phillips says, Dallas is a laboratory of forgetfulness.
Yes.
And we made it a point, we can't move forward and find any sort of transformation or equity without acknowledging that history. And so all of my work was focused on history of race and racism in Dallas. And after I would say after COVID and during COVID and after the Atlanta area spa shootings, Asian American history in Dallas became more of a pertinent topic at the time, and I realized how little had been documented, and that's why I started my organization.
Yes, it's really interesting that you bring that up, because I started my journey probably back when my daughter was in second grade, and she's in college now. And I was just taking pictures of the still standing shotgun houses around South Dallas. And then I started going to the public library, and to see the transformation of South Dallas, I was looking at phone directories and seeing Circle A, Circle C, Circle M, being Asian, colored, and Mexican. And just, you hear about it. You get the very watered down lessons in school, but you really don't see it until you go back to artifacts.
Yeah, like the Sanborn map on the wall here, that's the only reason that I'm able to find Chinese laundromats or restaurants that existed in those times, because there's no photographic documentation, there are no, there's not enough articles, so you have to look kind of with any clue really you can find.
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, thank you for doing that. So we know about your history as well. And how does that make you feel? And I know this is off topic, but for me, and learning about more about my family history gave me a sense of home and pride that I felt disconnected from. And then that made me feel more of a Dallas resident and felt like this was my home. So how did that impact you?
Well, I was able to find my birth family as an adult after like a 5-year long search, and I think that answered a lot of questions about why and where I came from, who. But the part of history that has been the most impactful in my journey as an activist or even as a historian is learning more about Korean history and Korea's relationship with the US. And today, August 15th, is the anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonialism. And learning about the freedom fighters and especially the young students who fought for Korea's independence under this terrible oppression, gave their lives, were tortured for it. It counters the narrative that we've been conditioned with in America of Asian Americans being this quiet model minority, used as a racial wedge, pitted against other minorities. And it gave me the sense of, no, it's actually in my blood. My ancestors fought for liberation. And, the history of Asian Americans in the 60s and the anti-war movement, we've always been more powerful in solidarity with other marginalized and oppressed groups. And how do I bring that spirit to Dallas and in the work that I do every day?
Awesome and amazing. So we have our second guest here, Micaela Watkins. And I have to tell you, on my father's side, they're Watkins.
Really?
Yes, I learned that. Except for my grandfather liked to change his name. So my dad is a Martin. So I'm typically a Martin / Watkins / Walker /
All the things. I love that.
All of those
I
things.
love that.
Yes. So we have Micaela Watkins here. Physically met her at a Dallas Housing Coalition meeting and found out that she does, her trade is dealing with taxes and property taxes. So I was like, oh my gosh, you got to come back when I have John Ames on, and let's have that round table before, we're going to have to do it next year, before October when he sends out the statement. Or maybe I should get you to come on before protesting deadlines happen. So Stephanie was just introducing herself. So you go ahead and do that and let all of our viewers know what makes you amazing.
Ooh. Well, good morning. My name is Micaela Watkins. I am originally from Fort Worth, but I transferred to SMU my technically sophomore year, but junior year of undergrad. And I've just kind of been out in Dallas ever since. I am passionate about people, about advocating for people, about representing those whose voices feel unheard. Because sometimes when you feel that no one hears you, you just stop trying. And I don't shut up.
Yes.
I don't shut up at all. So if you need someone to speak for you, I'm your girl. I'm your girl.
So I'm calling this the baddies edition. Because these two women are phenomenal. And I am glad that my former guest, Rudy Karimi, who is here watching, introduced me to these young ladies, because I'm just in awe of your willingness to stand up and fight, especially for those that are typically not heard. And that is so important. So with that, I want to jump into this. Was telling Stephanie, I thought I emailed everybody on the topics that we were going to be talking about.
I know.
We're winging it, which is going to make it the best
More
show
entertaining.
ever.
The ADHD baddies are just
Yes. So, says here in South Dallas, we have 4021 on MLK that is across the street from Madison High School. We're looking forward to the old Save-A-Lot being turned into something other than just being empty and collecting trash. So, the Person Hollow development has brought a lot of chaos and mayhem, but for all of the right reasons. Because if the residents are not wanting something of that structure to be there, and so just to give some backstory on it, it's supposed to be a mixed-use complex, $850 million at the corner of Preston and Royal Lane, which is going to have hotel. And I'm sorry, I'm sick of hotels. Why is everybody building hotels all over this?
Hotels and high rises. We got to pay the developers.
And the hot tax. You got to pay into that hot tax. We got to make sure they're paying their hot taxes. Retail, office space, and then residential. So currently the area is zoned to just go up to 54 feet. And so the zoning change that has been requested is to allow for 240 to 299 feet. So that's about 20 stories. So we are talking it would be a mega high rise in the area if you're familiar with that surrounding area, because St. Mark's is not far from there. And so it's like taking a piece of downtown and putting it in this residential neighborhood. And I can understand why the residents are very up in arms about this. So I know, what are you guys' thoughts around this change in development in the city? Because, you know, the thing has been, we need density, we gotta grow our tax base. But where's the line with, come on, you bring her drink. Yeah, it's okay. No, you
Or the face.
I'm behind the pole there. Because, you know, traditional retail with all of the online shopping that we do and using apps and all that kind of stuff, to continue to see these type of developments and kind of saying, what are the numbers like? Why are we still pushing these old models of business when it seems that the landscape has changed so? What are your thoughts on that?
So, one thing that bothers me is, even as we talk about City Hall, our constant reference is to the developers. And I feel that a lot of the decisions that are being made right now, even if you think about them wanting to demolish Lusteric to put a high rise over there by Margaret Huntfield Bridge, a lot of the decisions that are being made have to do with the people that are being paid. It's not a matter of convenience, it's not a matter of necessity, because most of the high rises and most of the hotels are not reaching occupancy or even close in most instances.
Okay.
So what we have is creating supply when there is no demand. And that's coming out of our taxpayer pockets. That's tearing up our neighborhoods. And it's adding these additions that aren't necessary, that are also very out of place.
Okay.
So you can't help but wonder, like, what is your driving force behind making these kinds of changes when there are so many necessary changes that we actually need in these same communities? Like, we're picking things that are not needed and ignoring things that actually are.
So that's a great point, and you made me think of the convention center, and I understand building the hotels for the capacity of people coming to Dallas, but aren't they going to be concentrated where the convention center is? Like, I don't know. It just, I know that area is closer to DFW, but and we do have hotels out there. I'm just wondering, how many hotels do you build?
So from my historical preservation point of view,
Yes.
I don't think it's hotel buildings that drive people to travel or to come to a destination. And the problem that I've seen in Dallas and this focus on new development and high rises is that there's nothing for people outside of Dallas to do an experience of meaningful value if we continue to demolish the things that make us unique and have stories and history behind it, and we keep defunding arts and culture and sanitizing the true vitality of our city, which is not new high rises, it's the people and the stories that we have and the ways that we use art to bring that to life. I think about in my district too, where there's a lot of redevelopment happening in East Dallas, which used to be Little Asia, where a lot of the Southeast Asian refugees were resettled, who created this vibrant Little Asia with restaurants and storefronts and the community garden, and they were pushed out for development into the suburbs, and we lost any trace of it,
Right.
except for the garden, which thankfully is still there. But when you go to like a New York or Chicago, I go to Chinatown. I want, and people are going now to the suburbs for those because we've pushed our people out.
Right. And you bring up a really good point. And I had a discussion about these high-end entertainment districts where it's this bubble where people just work, live, and play. And as you said, when tourists come, they're not coming for the hotels. They're coming for the culture of the city. And I've laughed when I've seen tours, and I've laughed when people say, oh, we're going to go to Dallas, we're going to go vacation in Dallas. And I'm like, for what? Like, what are you going to Dallas to see? And I'm not saying that because I live here, because, yes, I live here, and I see it every day. But what are the cool places now? What are the cool things to do? Because for me, and I had a mom that was very entrenched in art, so I grew up going to the theater in Lita Humphreys and music hall and all of those things. And so for me, I'm telling people, oh yeah, you want to see some really good stuff? Go to Fort Worth. Go to the arts there. Go to the museum there. I see the Nutcracker in Fort Worth at Bass Hall. I don't see it here in Dallas. Come on, guys. So, with that lens, how can we do a better job with getting that culture and uniqueness and things that draw people here?
One, with the new council, but honestly, because we have Winspear Opera House, we have Fair Park, we have the African American Museum, the Meyerson. There are sorry about that. There are so many things that we do have that people are either not privy to, or they don't care about, or they overlook it and go to Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Because as me, like someone that grew up in Fort Worth and I performed at Bass Hall, we're talking about the ballet days like earlier.
Yes.
That's where my brain automatically goes. But then you come to Dallas and it's like, we do have these assets. We do have these outlets for the arts to thrive, but we don't have leadership that is pouring into these arts for them to thrive. And if they don't have enough knowledgeability, if they're not visible to the public or to the people that visit, they're not going to survive. And I feel like that might be part of their motive, is to, well, it's become obsolete, the same way they claim City Hall has become obsolete. That's nonsense.
Right.
It's absolute nonsense.
Speaking of that intersection, they talk about City Hall being obsolete, but with the arts, it comes to life. And there was a time in decades ago that the Dallas Ballet performed in the plaza of City Hall. Like what we could do in the spaces that we currently own and operate if we let artists imagine. I think the problem, in addition to the appeasing developers, is a lack of creativity and innovation. If you can't figure out how to revitalize downtown without selling and demolishing the one public asset that we as a people own and need, then we have a creativity problem at that level. And talking about a casino or any kind of draw to bring people to a city, when people right now are afraid to send their kids to school or go to doctor's appointments because of immigration enforcement that our city is welcoming with open arms, bringing the Republican National Convention here, how do we attract people to our city when even our own neighbors are afraid to leave their homes?
Right. Yeah. And what I'm hearing is just the lack of diversity with events, or the awareness of the diversity that we have, and programming. And I've said that. Because there was an event not too long ago at City Hall that had it all lit up. The Mandela exhibition is at the African American Museum. So I'm going to mention that every show until November the 1st when it ends here. So make sure you go.
We should all go.
The programming is such a missing in this city. And when we were looking to have private management of the Fair Park, and people were talking about how dead Fair Park was, I was like, have y'all been to Fair Park? Like, every weekend there's something going on. And again, unless it's your band that you're following, the niche audiences, you don't know what's going on around our entire city. So visit Dallas, what are y'all doing?
No, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, they're tasked and charged with, making sure that the city is being marketed, that when visitors come here, they know all of the touristy spots to come to. Mm-hmm. So, it just to see development shifting from a more global aspect for the city overall to these little pocket developments, it seems like that's what the push is. Yeah. And that
I was just thinking about what Visit Dallas is doing, and I think I remember like a video where they were doing like a margarita bar crawl, and I'm like, imagine if we still had a little Mexico intact and preserved for people to go to.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and I know it's not all their fault. It's that they're working with what we have, which is a result of completely destroying
redevelopment. Yeah. And that reminds me of Monty Anderson, where he always talked about, gentrification is what he called it. And doing that incremental where people who choose to stay or want to stay are still able to stay and still have that character. And talking to some developers, I asked about, how do we still have, I ran the streets in Dallas in the 90s before camera phones, praise God.
Love that for you. Yes! Love that for you.
And Lower Greenville, uptown, when the Loon was still around. I had some great times here in the city. Just all of the places that we used to go to, Park Lane, when United Artists movie theater was there, and Prime Time Club was there. Like, there was always somewhere to go. And Ellen went through its iterations with being an entertainment district, and it seems like those kind of neighborhood feelings of entertainment are just kind of disappearing with having a 299-foot building that allows for work, live, and play and visit.
A little off the topic.
It's okay. It's okay.
I felt it coming. I knew it was going to happen.
But, and Micaela, you brought up about, all of the hotels, and we're not reaching occupancy. Now, the last time I checked across the city, we were at 62%. Now, this is post-COVID. And pre-COVID, we were at 75%. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought when there was a need to build something for capacity concerns, you would think that we were at 90% all the time.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I think when you think back to the 2024 bond, when we voted on everything for the convention center,
Yes.
but the majority of that tax base is from hotel occupancy tax that they did a tack on.
Yes.
So I guess they're realizing, hey, that was a really stupid idea. Maybe if we build more hotels, that's not the issue.
No.
The hotels, like Stephanie said, are not going to draw people in.
No.
The bit of thing that you can have to draw people in is the culture.
Yes.
If you continue to wipe out the culture, then building more hotels is creating more debt.
Yes.
And it's taking up more space, which means you're taking away potential resources. For what reason?
Right.
And they'll argue like, oh, well, this builds jobs. It does, until you realize that you have to have those rooms filled to pay those employees.
People. Yeah.
So if you don't have the occupancy, you don't have the funding to pay the people in the jobs that you created.
Yes.
It's a waste of space.
Yes.
It's a waste of energy, and it's a waste of time. And that's where we are right now, is everything is about, oh, well, this can make us money, this can make us money, this can make us money.
Where's the proof in the pudding?
There's none. There's none, because we're not seeing their vision come to life at all. Every single great idea that we're like, okay, let's vote on this bond, and we're going to have another bond in November.
Yes.
You are not showing us that you are making prudent decisions with our tax dollars.
Windsor Barbie. She was at Maxie Johnson's meeting going over the numbers from CBRE. And she brought up the Omni Hotel cost us $500 million to build. We owe $400 million on it. My daughter, I think she was in pre-K or first grade when that was going on, and I was telling everyone that the Omni is a multinational company. They're global, multi-million-dollar company. Why do they need public funds?
I don't understand that.
And if Fort Worth to have a hotel next to the convention center, and Fort Worth to kind of give up money for that?
It's an Omni also.
Yes.
It's an Omni.
Yes.
Fort Worth did not pay for the Omni. Why are we paying for ours?
And we still owe mega debt on it after all of these years. We're talking about, at least 15 years later, and we've only made $100 million contribution to the cost of it.
And even if you, especially if you think about the number of events that they've hosted, how frequently they host like large organizations and large conferences and things like that. If you have been holding that many large scale events over this span of time,
Baby, we should be paid off like the AAC.
exactly. But alas, here we are.
Here we are, and the Omni got a free hotel out.
No, really, like we are blatantly giving money to people because maybe there's some return to whomever made that decision.
The Lorenzo Hotel.
Did we pay for that too?
Yeah, well, no. Okay, you just saw my blood pressure rise in real time. They got a HUD loan. Backstory on the Lorenzo. Cedars is getting up in arms because Burbank has been homeless highway for a long time. We have a lot of homeless services concentrated in that area. And so they did not want the Lorenzo being turned into a transition housing complex for homeless. No homeless services. They were like, no to the no to the no, no, no. So then, and that's where HUD money is going to come in and be used. So, I'm not 100%, my memory is just not good enough to remember how the owners ended up getting the HUD money. All I know is that in July they couldn't make their payment, and I don't know if the hotel's been sold. I remember that city council meeting. Yes, I did, because it was in March. Yes, and they were like, yeah, we probably are not going to be able to make that payment. So we're trying to get somebody to buy it. I saw it flashing with his lights and stuff last night.
Yeah. They do, like, they have a little pool party series during summer. It's like they're hanging on for dear life. But I don't understand the blatant opposition to providing transitional housing to the homeless. Like, especially in that prime location, you have the opportunity to serve people. You have the opportunity to, since we view everything as capital in this city, to maximize human capital by giving someone the resources to get back on their feet, and then they can enter the job market. Or you have the opportunity to give someone the resources to provide mental health services to them, and then it gets them off the street, since they're so worried about how it looks. They're worried about aesthetics. They're worried about crime. I promise you, poverty and crime are intrinsically related.
They are.
When you find a way to eliminate or decrease poverty, you will directly eliminate or decrease crime rates.
And we
Even
have
something as simple as like
No.
Exactly. Sorry, I was just gonna say, and we have one of the largest racial wealth gaps in the country, and so I would say that when we see this disdain for unhoused population, we cannot separate that from the fact that Black people are disproportionately impacted by it.
Yes. Yes. And for me, it just, I don't know, I quote movies, Divergent, and the factionless people. And granted, there are some people that they're choosing the lifestyle, more power to you. And I understand the compassion eventually starts to get there.
right.
And I understand why the Cedars may not have wanted that transition housing there as a neighbor. Joppy is being faced with the same issue with transition housing being built there. And I was honest about it. I told them they're not gonna want it. The soup kitchen, well, I remember it as City Square. So Larry James and the little 140,000 K huts that were built. During that time, there were a lot of homeless people just in the area. They were breaking into my neighbors that lived on Park Road, South Boulevard, stealing tools. So you do have some increased crime as a result of it. And now that they have veterans being placed there, it's real quiet. And I don't want to say, well, it's okay if it's only a particular segment of the population that's homeless, because you're homeless, you need the services. And I think here in Dallas, we need to do a better job with being more stringent with, if you don't take the services, we're going to make you take the services. Is at some point, you have to do something different.
Right.
And don't forget, these council meetings are all kind of bleeding together in my head here. But it was a proposal to have kind of a designated area for homeless people to just congregate. You missed it.
Oh no.
Was that pre-FIFA trying to
Yes.
sports wash our city?
And stay fair, clean them up, ship them off, and they'll come back after it's gone. Yes. And I just said, no way. No way. And luckily it was voted down. But I was just like, okay, so here's something else that we're using tax dollars for that I don't necessarily know if that would be a good idea. Like, that's what the shelters are for, right?
And that's a very concentration camp mindset. Like, let's just ship them all up together and put them somewhere. Like, that's, what was that when Greg Abbott was like putting immigrants on buses and sending them to like Martha's Vineyard
in New York City.
It was like, what? Like, we can't treat human beings like items and like nuisances and like assets. That's ridiculous to me. And if you can come up with a plan to group all of the unhoused together in one space, then you can come up with a plan to provide them with a space to exist, not to be pressed into, not to be forced into, but to be like, hey, this would be a great central location for us to put resources for
And
these of our
services.
neighbors.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
this is where they typically do tend to gravitate, let's put XYZ here. And then there's another area of town where they gravitate, let's put XYZ here. If you can come up with a plan to ship them off, then you can come up with a plan to help them.
I don't know why the medical district isn't a better place to have them, because, I mean, there's Parkland, you have all of your medical resources, mental health resources there that would be readily accessible, and I'm not sure why that's not a thing, but, yeah.
And I live in that part of the district too, which is also hilarious because you think of like both of us being in District 2 and
Right.
nowhere near each other.
Yeah, because it snakes through the
Yeah,
city.
it's ridiculous. That added to the list of things that are a complete joke in this city, that's one of them. And it frustrates me because I'm off of Harry Hines, like near Empire Central.
Yeah,
And they have that old motel
yes.
that they're constantly contemplative about. Do we demolish it? Do we keep it? And you have so many people that are just going through so many different phases of life,
Yeah.
sitting outside of there or sitting inside the walls of there, and the police just like drive by slowly, and you can sense the judgment of the police and of the people that drive by, because they're pretty nice apartments over there, but you can sense the fear of the people that are living that. And I just think that's so unfair, because you could even turn that motel or any of the vacant buildings over there into a resource.
Yeah.
Y'all are probably gonna get more data centers.
Of course we are.
That's a whole nother topic.
We need Kat for that one.
Yes. And
Oh, we do.
Yes, and IT head here, so I didn't speak last Wednesday, so I'll be speaking this Wednesday for the data centers and what the Dallas City Council needs to
I
do.
don't think any of us spoke last Wednesday.
I
No,
want to talk about
no. I think a lot of people were in awe that everybody got their full 3 minutes, but it was
I know.
pretty sparse down there. Y'all fill up city council. I know it's during business hours, but if you are able to go and attend city council meetings, even if you have to have your headphones on, listen to the council meetings. There's a lot that goes on. A lot of things that go on. So, talking about the city council and votes, let's talk about supermajority
I knew
votes.
it.
I mean, that was put in place for protection.
Exactly.
You know, I wish it wasn't supermajority ever used.
No,
Or
it's never been
purchasing?
triggered, and it was voted on unanimously by the council that voted on it.
So
what council was that? Like how many like administrations ago?
that was long
Really?
time ago. What was
No, yeah.
2021?
Okay.
Not even that long ago.
Oh my. Okay. And now they want to dismantle it for getting rid of city assets.
Well, the only reason they want it, we know. At this
The
point,
optics are bad,
it's
y'all.
bad. It's bad. They look bad. And like I think 3 speeches ago, I asked respectfully that they stop playing in our faces, because that's exactly what this is. You set a precedent of needing a supermajority for this specific purpose. We've watched you change the numbers. We've not watched you change the facts. We've watched you change your opinions. We've watched Chad West teeter-totter on which side of history he wants to sit on. And you think that we're going to believe that with the numbers y'all have, because we've seen how you vote pertaining to City Hall, you think that we're going to believe that the reason you don't want a supermajority has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you have a simple majority to demolish City Hall? We're not dumb. And I think it's actually very insulting that not only do they not listen to us, they don't even pretend to listen to us when we speak at those meetings.
Right, yeah.
Eric Johnson was texting frivolously the last 2 meetings. I mean,
That
at one
gentleman
point,
that spoke, he was so angry that they were all occupied with something else instead of listening to the speakers. They weren't even pretending to give their deadpan face while people were talking.
turning their chairs around to whisper to each other.
Yes.
I mean, not listening to constituents and people aside, just using basic common sense and morality, it is wrong.
And decorum.
And they were so focused during that special finance committee on making sure we don't use words like corruption or illegal. And with lawyers, I work with lawyers. I know that they'll find a way to do it legally. It doesn't make it right. And I'm tired of them falling to these loopholes to justify things that are just wrong. Like, you don't have to hear us say it's wrong to know that it's wrong. You should just, as a leader, as someone who cares about your community, know that this is the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Or could you at least care about your integrity?
Or care about the numbers, the finances, and what you're doing
Anything.
to our...
It makes no sense.
Yes. So at this point, we move away from a supermajority to a simple majority. At this point, why even have it on the books?
That'll be next. They'll just take it off.
Because when will you ever use it?
Well, what was the point? What was the Cardi B meme? Like, what was the reason? That's me with council all the time. Like, these proposals that they bring up and these thought processes that they're trying to articulate, and I'm just like, why?
Right. The disrespect for the rule of law is what frustrates me so much about City Hall. They keep saying it's just a building. It is them undermining the rule of law at the same time that's happening
rules.
Nationwide.
It's their own rules
but that's happening nationwide.
Yeah.
We have voting rights being stripped away and dismantled. We have immigration enforcement running amok, and in our city now we are changing the rules, breaking our own rules to be able to sell our land that we own to developers like the Adelsons, who will continue to fund more injustice. They want us to think that it's just a building. It is a microcosm of what is happening in our country, and it is and City Hall is our stronghold against fascism infiltrating our city in totality.
When you say fascism in front of them,
she succinctly put that.
Yes. And they flinch anytime you say fascism.
Yes.
It's like a dog whistle to them, because when Alyx was speaking 2 weeks ago, they were texting and whispering to each other. I believe Kim Tolbert was leaned into Eric, and they were whispering. And as soon as Alyx said fascism, they sat up, they perked up. And it was it wasn't even that they turned around looking guilt tripped. It's they were excited. They're excited about fascism. I think that they are fully aware of what they're doing, and they only see the benefit that is at the end of the tunnel for them individually. The rest of this doesn't matter to them, because they're about to be out, they're going to be gone, and their pockets will already be lined.
And it's interesting to see the dynamics, especially after all of the investigations, the things with Don Hill, Dwayne Caraway, Larry Duncan. I know there was a third council member during that time when Tanel and Dwayne and all of those guys were there, that there was a third council member that was under scrutiny, and all of us were kind of waiting for the shoe to drop to see who the third person was. To see now just how blatant it is. I don't know if it was just better theater before, or if the Supreme Court just said, it's all tips, baby, so go ahead and collect your money tax-free, okay? Right. So it's I share your sentiments and your feelings and frustrations with it, because at what point, one, it will make people feel disenfranchised and not voters. And we already have low voter turnout to begin with. And I tell people all the time, Texas was the test ground for one-party rule. And they demonstrated what it would look like, how to get there, how to gerrymander it to death, to keep it in place, and now we're just trying to do it on a countrywide scale. It's to know so many people who came before and fought for our rights and our participation in our democracy, and not have our democracy act on us. because like you, when you were sharing your journey with your finding your roots, all of the records that I found on Ancestry, death certificates, and education levels of people, and recently finding out about my father and having to live in Oklahoma and work on a farm before he gets to go to school, and all of those things, and it's just like, where are you trying to take us? Because do you want to mix the iRobot and
their line
The
of
irony is beautiful.
once in a generation opportunity to sell City Hall, once in a generation opportunity. How
to
can they?
have this stadium and this entertainment complex?
What kind of future are we leaving for those next generations with this with that political influence on our city?
With the school being right there.
Well, and when I say fascism, it's because we're seeing defunding of libraries. The Central Library across the street, they're not going to leave that intact when they build their casino. They want 50 acres. City Hall is what, 14 roughly?
12.
Oh yeah, because it's the park, it's the underground. So the library will be next. They want us to not have access to knowledge and the things that would empower us to stand up for ourselves and go to somewhere like City Hall that we own and are protected. They want to eliminate that and to do it, to fund someone that will just perpetrate that and compound, it's maddening.
Well, and to look at, and I say iRobot because even the robots develop conscious in turn, and we're already seeing AI kind of doing its own thing with machine learning. That was the buzz term back in 2018, 2019. So now we're in full AI, and the ghosting and the calculations that it gets incorrect. And I'm just sitting here going, y'all have made movies about this. Y'all never believe your own product. So you want us in the field and to have robots. Make it make sense.
They don't want us to read dystopian novels because they know we'll
Start
realize
drawing
that
parallels.
it's happening right now.
V for Vendetta, man. Look, I'm the wrong one. I am. I don't know about y'all, and I feel privileged to know so many elected officials and bringing them to you guys on the show and discussing various topics and whatnot. But with that, I put my foot on folks' necks. Because, and I have told people, council members, y'all get us in a lease agreement where we're paying for maintenance of somebody else's building. Y'all try to put a bond election together for that. Baby, we're going to burn this town down. I'm going to round up everybody. Russell, I'm calling you. You're going to represent all of us, okay? So go ahead and get a team. Call Ben Crump. Call everybody, okay? Jasmine, all of y'all, Lee Merritt, y'all get together because I'm gonna have some people and we're gonna be singing Alicia Keys' "This Girl's on Fire" while we just bomb this entire city, because that is ridiculous. If you're willing to pay maintenance for somebody else's building that you're leasing and you don't pay maintenance for your own city assets.
I joke that I work out so much and lift so heavy so that when the bulldozers come for City Hall, it's going to take a lot. My core and leg strength is unmatched, so those bulldozers can come for me.
Exactly.
I love her!
That's all. Like, I'm gonna get back in F45 because I need to start lifting heavy enough to prepare to fight the good fight. I'm watching you do your pull-ups every morning. I'm like, Stephanie is reminding me to get it together. Get it together.
Yes. I always train for the zombie apocalypse. I didn't know that this was going to be my side training.
Yeah.
Ready for the protests of the millennia.
No, seriously. Like, geez, all the protests I've attended at City Hall in the past 12, 13 years, who knew it would get worse? And I was at the July 7th, 2016 protest where the officers were killed. I don't want to start on my conspiracy theories about that, but that was by far the most terrifying day of my life.
Why so?
Because it was such a peaceful protest.
Okay.
I mean, it was beautiful. There were children there, numerous, children, whole families, and you could hear like parents talking to their kids about like why this was important and what the motive was, why we were there, and hearing people that were like the speakers when we got together. It was beautiful because it was a very diverse crowd, all ages, all backgrounds, and you could tell that we were all there under one unified mindset. There was no anger, no hostility. There were no fight breakouts. There was no profanity. There was no hostility. And then out of nowhere, when we were marching through like downtown, you just hear, I think it was at the end, I think. So we had already gone to the little closing, and that was, I can't recall which building it was in front of. I think the trauma took over there. But we were leaving, and then you could just hear gunshots ringing out. And because of all like the tall buildings in downtown, the echoing, you can't tell which direction it's coming from.
Right.
And so people are just taking off running. There were children being separated from their parents. Fight or flight takes over. I lost my cousin, my friends that I was with, and I randomly picked up someone's daughter who was crying and just kept running. Yeah. Because what is this? Like, how did this go from something that we were
peaceful,
beautifully peaceful? I mean, people were emotional about, of course, the deaths that we were mourning and that we were talking about at the time, but also the fact that we as a collective, as citizens of Dallas, were coming together for something so much bigger than us. And then some hateful outside force comes in, and that takes over the whole narrative. But the thing that upset me the most at the end was they tell us this XYZ person is who perpetrated it. But if you recall, they were saying like there was someone in the parking garage on the top of the building, that's who was shooting. But then they claimed that someone that was downstairs on the sidewalk outside of that same building was shooting.
Yes.
And then a few minutes later, they were like, well, the police are trying to apprehend someone downstairs. But then a few minutes later, the police have detonated a robot bomb in the parking garage, and they were able to kill this man. And they explain it in a capacity to where he was not recognizable. So you're telling me that this man just so happened to have his driver's license on him when he was going to perpetuate a crime?
It sounded... Yeah, I remember all of that, and
it was Micah someone.
It was really odd. He was connected to someone at my church at St. Paul AME, and we quite a few people knew him, and they were speaking out about the character of his person, and he would not do such. It was. I wanted to go to that protest. And I remember talking to one of my good troublemakers, and I said, I don't think that we're going to be able to make it, because for whatever reason, I was super exhausted. And then she texted me later on, she's like, I'm so glad you and the kids didn't come. It went crazy. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And you don't want to believe that the watchmen need watchers and would commit acts against their own citizens that they're supposed to be protecting and making sure that everyone, including themselves, follows the law.
I was in this very building when that happened. The reason that I didn't go is because Vic thought we were having our diverse lounge. We used to have a youth like spoken word event monthly, and so I was in here working, and we were with a bunch of young people having to come and explain what was going on.
Yeah, that was it was so odd. It was just really odd how it all went down. But to talk about police and fire, the bond election that's coming up.
There's just so many things that's like mentions topics. Deep sigh. Deep sigh.
Yes.
Preach.
So the 4 that voted against the current as written bond package that's going to make it to the election November 3rd, wanted each piece to be separated out so you as a voter could make a determination. So let me recap real fast what is on there, because I got so many notes around here about everything from yes. Okay, so It's 443 million. They did not put the POB for the pension on there. So we have fire station number 4 replacement, which is gonna be 22 million. And this particular fire station has never been on any previous bond elections. The closing the gap on the new police academy at UNT. So remember, back in 2024, you as a voter approved the 50 million. Now it's 82 million. Do we have to know how much the private raised for this police academy? Okay. New evidence room, storage facility, and crime lab, which is going to be 150 million. We have a training complex at the executive airport, which is different than the academy to train the cadets. They are cadets, right? Coming out of the police academy. Okay, because I will call them the wrong thing. That's 149 million, and I think that's where the gun range is going to be. And please, y'all, correct me, because I kind of got some sleep since then. And then last but not least, which this, all of us that are saved Dallas City Hall feels this is the reason why none of them could be split up. The 40 million to relocate 911 and 311. So, again, Bazadula, Blackman, Ridley, Mendelson, they all voted to have each item to stand on its own, so you as a voter could evaluate each one independently. But the 911, 311 being moved out of City Hall to an undisclosed location. They don't even know.
No, it's not. Isn't that the one that they're talking about on Bellevue, which is older than City Hall is now?
So it's Bellevue windows now. So it went from Redbird to Comerica, where the safe is, to now Bellevue.
I was talking about where they want to move 911.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they talked about where they want to move it to, and it's.
But there's no final plan, design, location, approval, but you want money.
And there's no safer place for 911 and emergency operations to be than where it currently is.
But you want money.
For that.
That's just like the hot tax for the convention center. We don't have a finalized plan for design and budget.
Yeah. We want 40 million to move 911 instead of spending. Just give us 20 million to do the basic repairs that we need and fix the water intrusion in our current city hall. Just do that.
That will cover so many bases.
So, question that I have then. So that's 40 million just to move it? Is that what's the cost of retrofit? And to enforce? Because it has to be like a bomb shelter.
Well, we know they voted against making sure it was safer than our current one, so maybe they're not worried about retrofitting it.
Yeah, they're not. They're offering plans saying we want this because it's safer, but they have no intentions of actually making sure that it is. You have a safe option that you could actually just repair, but instead of being logical, you just had a vote on repairing or not, and then said no. So here we are.
So what's the place that we're renting for $1 million a year that we want to replace it with a $240 million place so we can own it instead of being a renter? Rudy, you know what I'm talking about?
Is it on building?
It could, yeah. Yes. So they don't want to be a renter because being a renter is just stupid.
Yeah.
But we want to rent City Hall or do a lease to own option.
But we wouldn't. But even if we leased to own a building for City Hall, we wouldn't own that land.
No.
Correct. We own our City Hall Plaza land. We, the people, own it, and they do not. It's so wrong. I can't even say it out loud without laughing anymore. It's so ridiculous.
You have to laugh or you cry.
Which I literally have many times this week, obviously.
Yeah, so it's the inconsistencies in thought process with do we rent, do we own? Oh, well, it's good to own in this situation. But again, that's a huge price tag to go from $1 million renting to $240 million to build, and you're laying off people.
Yeah.
You've gutted the insurance for folks.
Well, we've already seen that they don't truly give too many flips about the people that are in their employ because furloughs.
Right.
We don't even mind taking away city resources and assets. You can't go to the rec center whenever you want. You can't go to the library whenever you want. But then somebody can make $450,000 a year. Oh, okay.
Or, unfortunately, developers have a nasty reputation, unfortunately, in the city. And I understand they want to make money. I get it. Where's the plan? If the mayor is not going to have the plan, and we can't get a mayor since Eric with a K Johnson, to come up with a master plan for the city. And so we're going to let developers come up with a master plan. I don't think they have a master plan.
I don't think they do. I really think that it's one of two things. Either they have absolutely no plan and they want to sound informed enough for people to just be like, okay, yeah, everything's fine. I trust them. Or they actually do have a plan and we know exactly how that goes because they've been bought into by the Adelsons and other developers and other billionaires who want to turn our home, our city, into their dreams and desires. So either they're completely stupid or they think that we are. There is no in between. And I'm not stupid, are you?
I think it's the latter because the amendments that Kara Mendelson proposed to protect our interests when they were talking about the CBRE going and finding new locations, the vetoes on those said whatever they discussed in closed session, they knew the criteria and the buildings that they were looking to move into, and they knew that the amendments that she proposed did not apply to those. Yeah.
With that. Yeah.
So, because otherwise there would be no reason to not make sure that we were protected.
Well, I just think that in a time where we're looking to get rid of, we're not furloughing, we're actually going to let go of staff. And we are cutting benefits and things that would attract talent to come here and work for the city, and not really taking a hard look at where we're spending our dollars to make those cost savings first before we start cutting staff. And to know that, and that was a private conversation I had with a police officer during a meeting over in South Dallas, where I was told that 9 jobs have been saved because DPD has been going into their overtime budget to save those people. Why are we as a city, looking for the wasteful spending? Why aren't we doing an audit to get to the wasteful spending before we start letting go of our human capital?
I think because then that would require transparency. The people would have to know, and they don't want us to know. The City Hall spirit fingers.
The city manager doesn't even want us to know where she travels, so.
Well, at any of the council where they travel.
Or where they helicopter to cut city council meetings short so they can go watch the
Yeah, because I
World
want to
Cup.
see how much money we wasting on lawsuits. Being sued and suing.
The
That
amount
line item in the budget is actually increasing.
Every day. Of course it
If you
is.
look at Ms. Colbert's proposal, that line item is increasing.
So you're budgeting to get sued and to sue more.
Hello?
Correct.
Do you?
That's why I said they'll find the legal loopholes to get away with anything.
Anything.
And
I need a nap.
It's called non-departmental spend, and that budget is increasing by $7 million. Page 297 of the budget.
and that-
Imagine being so foul that you have to preemptively prepare for people to sue you or for you to have to sue other people. When you could just really be transparent, do your job, and not screw over everyone in the process of your incompetence.
just do the right thing. This is, especially it's such a mystery to me that the council members that have aspirations beyond their current seat think that anyone will trust anything they say or promise for the next roles that they're gonna go after.
It's when you start looking at the information and trying to add up things, and you're trying to figure out how 2 + 2 = 58, and you can't find the
1.2
other numbers to get there. It is disheartening. It's frustrating. And I understand why less than 5% come out, especially in my district when it comes to municipal elections. When there's a mayor's race, it can get up to 10%, and now the population is 1.3. It used to be 1.4 million people in Dallas. Now it's 1.3. We're not doing something wrong here.
That's another reason I think they are fighting so hard to take away City Hall from us, is because seeing 3,000 people at a pro-immigration rally in front of City Hall gives people hope. It makes people feel like we have a movement, we have the numbers, we can make change, we can make a difference. And you take away that visibility and our space to advocate, it's very easy to quell hope.
And people need hope. And that is fascinating to hear, because that is the number of people that voted in District 7 municipal election last in 2025. Like, literally, we have such a small number of people that turn out.
District 2 has very low turnout also.
Yes, ma'am.
The first Tea Party rally that was ever held in Dallas was on City Hall Plaza. I went to it.
See?
It's for all the people.
Yeah.
It's for all
sides.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. Did you know that Fort Worth has to rent space to protest? In the city of Fort Worth, because their new city
Oh,
hall.
because it's in the old Radio Shack building.
Yeah, so their new city hall, it's not transit accessible because the grade of the hill that it sits on,
Yeah.
transit can't get up there. And then 2, it's actually not a public space. They have to go downtown and they have to rent space for a certain amount of time, and they can't do it on Sundance Square either, because that's a private square, that's not a public square.
Good old Tarrant County.
So
Well, no. Tea leaves. Make people pay for protest space. That'll quell your protesters.
Yeah.
Because who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah, I mean, and also like the privately owned building that they want to rent or lease to own, those owners can see something they don't like in front of their building and say, like,
Absolutely
shut it down. Fascism, that's how I say it.
1984. George Orwell.
They love it.
And we don't have to worry about cameras being placed everywhere and your TV watching you.
truth is treason in an empire of lies.
You pay for this every month, and it tracks everything that you do. And so, talk about a future show. Went to a data center breakfast with the GDPC, and the young man brought up a question about regulation on the data that is collected, because at some point we are going to bust the roof with all of the data that's being collected. And I don't know if so I worked for a data company, so anything that was over 7 years they would dispose of. If they lost a client, and they did Medicare, Medicaid processing, they also did some processing for attorney generals in some states. So if the contract ended and it wasn't renewed, they had to dispose of all of that privately held data. So we need some regulation around it, because I don't think there's anything that exists. So that's a show that's going to be coming up in 2027, and I'm saying that now because we need to start thinking about those considerations. And also, we have data centers here. We have legacy data centers here in the city of Dallas. So it just behooves you to be involved in your city. So I do want to thank you, ladies, for your time. We're gonna have another Baddies edition in 2027. Make sure that you're looking and following us on Facebook to see what events are coming up. I will have a special edition show with a retired police officer, hopefully Sean Peace, who's the president of the DPA, and I have a retired board member from the Dallas firefighters that will be coming on, since we're not going to discuss the POB, since that's not part of the bond. We are going to talk about the other bond items and what is going on with benefits for our city employees, which includes our public safety employees. So we gotta do better. Oh my gosh, no more shiny things. If we are having to tighten up our belt and let go of staff, we do not need to do shiny things. But thank you, ladies, for coming. Yes. And Alyx, you're gonna come on and you're gonna talk about the audit. So go ahead and get ready for your whole hour for that, okay? All right.
They want to share the couch with us. They want their own show. I get it.
So make sure you tune in for next Saturday. Come out to the show because there's the after party is the real show. So we'll see you next Saturday, guys.